broadcasting live from North Nashville, Tennessee. North Nashville spans from Metro Center down to the border of Bicentennial Mall, including the neighborhoods of Bordeaux, Buena Vista, Parkwood Estates, Germantown, Haynes Manor, Jefferson Street, Fisk Park, Cumberland Gardens, Oak Valley, Enchanted Hill, and many others. It's perhaps best known for the 3 universities housed here, including Tennessee State University, Fisk University, and Meharry Medical College. North Nashville is also home to the Tennessee Titans practice facility. The Tennessee Titans will begin construction on an expansion project at St. Thomas Sports Park, which will almost double its current footprint in Nashville's Metro Center neighborhood. The plan includes 60,000 square feet in additions, including a new building situated along one of the practice fields, and major renovation of spaces within the existing 75,000 square foot building.
Now live from North Nashville, Dr. William Head. Let's talk about it.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk About It. I have a somber duty to do. My sincere condolences to the family of Mr. Rodney Griffin. Rodney is a 1971 graduate of Fisk University, and before the celebration of his life, I will try to get out all the information on the preparations for it. I've got a book to recommend to you. It's called The ISIS Papers. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, a prominent psychologist at Howard University, wrote this book years ago and explains the racial discrimination thing that you see in everyday life, from the cue ball shooting pool to all sorts of other things that racism makes a priority. I've got a movie to recommend to you on Showbox BET. It's called An Acceptable Loss. It stars Jamie Lee Curtis. It is an extremely interesting movie, and it will have you looking at it as you look at what's going on today. I am introducing today my version of recognition for what I thought about calling the Nashvillian of the Week, or the Nashvillian with pizzazz. Doesn't that sound great? Nashvillians with cojones, you know what cojones are, or courageous Nashvillians, Nashvillian of the Week. The first one I'd like to hold up for inspection, and I'll get some blowback from the round table at the Northwest YMCA and the snack bar at Ted Rhodes Golf Course for kissing up. Okay, well, I don't have a chance to get close enough for that, but I'm willing to catch the hell that it may bring. My Nashvillian of the Week is none other than Mayor Freddie O'Connell. He stood up to King Donald the Last and refused to aid lice. I think that's really ice, but I call it lice because they itch, in harassing brown folks. Refusing to allow National Guard occupation of the city, as Governor Billy Boy urged, and has stood in the way of MDHA millionaires in the procurement of the Avon Williams campus of Tennessee State University to put more money in their pockets. Next time you get a tax bill, take it to MDHA for assistance, since they've run the price of living through the roof while they pocket the profits. Remember, I told you that today. I have found myself extremely angry about something that I would have otherwise, some things that I would have otherwise taken little notice of, much less have to ask myself, why so angry? And severely chastised me for the angry outburst. I then took a personal inventory of the things that had peeved me off and found no basis for my angst and anger. My frustrations extended into my community engagement and interaction with friends and associates. I took that frustration with me to church on 9/21/25, praying as I was to hear something that would allay my anger and explain to me why I was angry. Then we had one of our young pastoral assistants at Metropolitan Interdenominational Church to provide a view to the solution. Reverend Christian Goodwin clarified a very ambiguous bit of Bible wisdom, Luke 16:1-13, where the manager of a landowner's business was fired, then praised for what we would probably call very unsavory business practices. That has always been perplexing. Reverend Goodwin leaned very heavily on the children of light to observe this, and rather than find reason to castigate and punish them, find ways to love them. Yes, I said, find ways to love them. Even though all of the rhetoric is hateful, don't you become a hater. Hate only hurts the hater, doesn't hurt the hated at all, because the hated probably doesn't even know that you hate them. This struck me as a charge for today, tomorrow, and forever. I see so many who are angry with the current government because of the policies enacted by those who represent us at that level. And I see a hatefulness in we the people. We the people don't need to hate. We the people need to act. I'll tell you in a minute how we act. Us, we the people hating, plays into the trap being set for us by the hater that hates leader. Marvin Gaye in 1967 wrote and sung, "Only love can conquer hate. Love those who hate you and spitefully use you. The battle is not yours, it's the Lord." Now, some folks will say, well, you digging deep in the Bible for that. I am. I believe in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I believe in his healing power and his love. So I figure I'm better off loving than hating. Don't be a hater. Be hated by all means. But understand, hate doesn't bother you unless you stop and recognize it. Keep walking, keep doing what you do. The answer is put your money in your pocket for these haters to try to get it. It's passive resistance. It worked in the civil rights movement. Quit spending. You see these billionaires, you know why they're billionaires? Because you spend your money with them. They're not billionaires on their own. They don't make anything. They own a lot of things that make stuff, but you are the consumer. The African American population of this country is the 8th largest economy in the world. I didn't say in the United States. It's the 8th largest economy in the world. If you add women and other folks who are in the margin, we are better than 50% of the economy of this country. So why are we blanching at what goes on? Quit watching stuff that you don't want to watch. Get rid of all that stuff that people who support the government in their moves, these networks that allow themselves to be cowed down by threats of legal action. Why would that bother you? Or you just want to pay the man off? Oh, well, let me get off my stump. We'll be back after a word from our sponsors.
Attention North Nashvillians. Are you looking for a place to have breakfast, lunch, or dinner with friends and family? Look no further than IHOP. We offer an extensive menu of delicious and affordable food items that everyone can enjoy. Plus, our friendly and courteous staff will make sure you have an amazing dining experience every time. Try our buttermilk crispy chicken, or any of our juicy IHOP burgers and more menu favorites that are sure to delight you. We are located at 4098 Nolensville Pike Harding Mall, or give us a call at 629-204-3340. Or you can visit us today and see why so many people in North Nashville are talking about us. We look forward to seeing you North Nashvillians. Are you looking for a way to successfully advertise your business or ministry? Look no further than North Nashville's online TV station. Our platform gives you the opportunity to showcase your business or ministry to a wide range of viewers. With our advertising service, you get access to creative professionals who can help spread your message and reach potential customers in a cost-effective manner. We understand the importance of creating an impactful advertisement, and we are committed to helping you achieve your goals.
Hello, my name is Glenn Carter. I'm the owner here at Carter's Family Florist. We've been serving all over Nashville and Middle Tennessee for the last 25 years. We do flowers for all occasions. We do weddings, funerals. We send flowers out of town. I have a host of plants, corsage for the prom, a dozen roses at Valentine, a dozen roses for Mother's Day. We do balloons, fruit baskets, and things of that nature, and we do deliver. So always come to Carter's Family Florist when you're in need of your flower needs. Address is 1822 26th Avenue North. That's Nashville, Tennessee, 37208. My phone number is 615 662-56-3777. Thank you for choosing Carter's Family Florist.
I get it done. And we're back with my good friend and associate, Dr. Donald Alcindor, and not spelled like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's original surname. Doc, how are you?
Great, how are you? And thanks for having me again.
Man, you're too valuable not to have you on. You bring a whole lot to the table. We were discussing before we came on the significance of the Meharry General Hospital Reconnect. Tell us a little bit of what you do know about that, and the people will be happy to hear it.
Yes, so I think what you're looking at is something that was people have been working for a long time to make happen. And again, this is to continue Meharry's foundational inspiration for the community, and that is to serve the underserved. And so Meharry's been doing this for a long time. Metro General Hospital is a safety net hospital in Nashville. And for some people that have to travel a long ways to get medical services, Meharry's always been there, whether they have insurance or they don't. In addition to that, the partnership between Metro General Hospital and Meharry Medical College to support medical student training is something that was very important and will continue under this new contract. President Hildreth is very excited about this. There's been some change in leadership, I understand as well, to support the new programmatic goals that are involved in Metro General continuing to support the training of Meharry Medical College physicians. And so the details will come out and will be available to everybody in the newspaper. But this is something that had to get done, and now it has been done. I think now the time is to see how well these changes will be put in place so that we can continue to serve the public here in Nashville.
Dr. Hildreth has done an amazing job since he's been in that position at Meharry.
Yeah.
So it is great to see the leadership at Meharry to be being so progressive and aggressive in getting things done. So kudos to him. Meharry's role in Middle Tennessee medicine, especially Nashville, has been the place you go when you at the end of your rope. You mentioned earlier, whether you've got insurance or not, you can come to Meharry and get attention. As we look at the new policies and that have created a situation where health insurance is going to be too expensive for the average individual, what does that do for Meharry's role in the entirety of Middle Tennessee, not just in Nashville specifically?
Right. So Meharry has also expanded satellite clinics even all the way out to Memphis now. And so they've expanded their range in terms of delivering services to other parts of Tennessee other than Central Tennessee. So this expansion of clinics will allow Meharry to serve more of the public in more areas of Tennessee. And again, the policies that would basically take people off the insured rolls and put them on the uninsured rolls is something that is a great consequence to people's health. So what we know in particular we know that rural community members will drive long distances to come to Meharry because they don't have insurance or they're underinsured to receive services. And so we think that it will hurt the public if policy changes are in place or in force to take insurance coverage from those in need that need medical services. You know, we have an aging population, and there's some counties, and it's rural counties in particular, that might not even have a geriatrician in the whole county, might not have a cardiologist or an OBGYN in the whole county. But they can come to Meharry, even though it's a long drive, to find care that's affordable, or for some, in some cases, care that is free to the public that can't pay. And so the role of a safety net hospital is to provide services no matter what. And when you do that, you oftentimes incur a lot of financial strains for doing that. And that's no exception to Meharry, but they continue to find ways to support the community.
Well, earlier as we talked about the fact that someone in Waverly, Tennessee, down to the Tennessee River, to find any significant health care will have to drive 65 or 70 miles to the nearest hospital of any significance. And when you talk about things, injuries and conditions that are life-threatening, that's a long wait.
Yeah, again, 2 weeks ago, Meharry Medical College had their Oral Health Day. And this is something sponsored by Meharry Medical College Dental School of Dentistry. And I spoke to a person there, and she told me that she had come to this event at 6:30 in the morning to sign up early. And she came all the way from Coffee County. And she said if Meharry was not providing those free dental services in the form of free extractions, free fillings, and free cleanings, regardless if you had insurance, regardless if you had ID, you know what I'm saying? And providing these participants with a free breakfast and a free lunch. She told me that driving from 2 hours from Coffee County was worth it to come and get these services because she felt and she knew clearly that she would not be able to receive these services with her present financial condition if it was not from Meharry Medical College School of Dentistry. And so we've seen this and heard this many times where people have to drive long distances to receive services, and again, free services. And again, we often support rural communities in special ways in doing just that, because Meharry also has mobile medical units that can go out in communities in need and provide services as well. So we have the mobile mammogram unit, we have the mobile medical unit as well, and we have the mobile dental unit. And all of these units can provide services to people that are not in urban settings, but in rural communities as well.
Well, we still got to get the mobile units to my hometown.
Absolutely.
And if necessary, I've got enough area on my property there that we can pull them all up on the backyard. So, yeah. As we look at the future of rural medicine, if a farmer turns a tractor over in the process of tilling the soil, and he is in a bad way, and they're able to extract him from the wreckage of the tractor, you still have to get to the highway and get to Nashville to get treatment. So if there's anything in that injury that is where that person is bleeding from 65 miles away or 70 miles away, or as you said, from Coffee County all the way to Nashville, 2 hours away. He's going to die before he gets to the city.
I just want to say,
Go ahead.
how we got here. Talk about how we got here.
Yes.
For a long time, medical care infrastructure in rural communities have been fading away. They've been disappearing. And because of the financial strain that rural communities have to incur in order to sustain these large patient volumes you have in rural communities, the lack of specialists that are there, the lack of transportation, you know what I'm saying? And of course, you've got situations where rural communities are still using paper to document healthcare records. You see what I'm saying? Most urban hospitals have turned to electronic health records. And the idea of rural communities still writing on paper for their medical records, that doesn't allow them to compare their data with other institutions, what we call data harmonization, where you can actually plug in rural community electronic medical data with, say, Vanderbilt electronic medical data. You can't do that if that medical information is on paper. You see what I'm saying? And so rural communities have a lot of things that they have to deal with. Again, a person hurt on a tractor needing emergency care. And of course, we're talking about emergency care that is life-saving, may not find it in a local rural hospital and have to travel unusual distances to find trauma care like you would have at Vanderbilt Medical Center. And so rural communities are at a disadvantage, and that disadvantage is growing. Another thing is that in rural communities, you oftentimes will see a significant amount of hesitancy and mistrust in the medical establishment. And so when we were doing COVID vaccines, we found it very difficult to penetrate rural communities with vaccine information, vaccine test, COVID testing, and of course, COVID vaccines. And they had a number of reasons why. And again, most of the reasons they had was built on misinformation and disinformation associated with the COVID vaccine, such as things like the government and the vaccine companies were working together to make people pay for a vaccine they didn't need. And so you had people from rural communities that actually passed away of COVID still saying that the COVID-19 whole thing was propaganda and hoax associated with a government plan to basically juke the American public in terms of getting a vaccine that was not necessary. And you had situations where a person would want the mother and the grandmother to get a vaccination and they themselves would not. Or for that matter, be willing to get inside our car and be vaccinated for not anybody in the neighborhood to see them getting a vaccine. So you can see that even through covert operations, people did whatever they could to maintain secrecy in the community when it comes to vaccinations. And when you talk about health and wellness, you're looking at a situation where a lot of people don't believe in going to the doctor until they're sick. And we all know that regular checkups are very important to a person's health and wellness. And if you go to the doctor just when you're sick, you're likely to go there when you have advanced stage disease and need more serious interventions than a rural community could provide, a rural hospital system could provide.
You guys did such a wonderful job over on 28th and Charlotte of getting people into and through lines and lines and lines and lines of cars of people who needed to be tested. And it was just amazing what a wonderful job you did. And I have never heard anyone talk about it except us. We've talked about it on the air before. And you were doing tests for people from all over Middle Tennessee because
Yes.
they knew that it was going on in Nashville, and people pulling into that huge parking lot and going the circuitous route around the parking lot to the point of the test site. It was a gigantic effort. Are we
Yes.
heading back towards something like
So-
that?
I don't think so. I hope not. But it was Dr. Hildreth that really supported the mobilization of volunteers, medical students, and medical staff to get out into the streets and provide an option for communities that were medically underserved to get COVID vaccine testing. We also partner with companies to provide testing infrastructure on campus so people in the community could get results from their COVID test right away. And of course, through a partnership with the Bloomberg Foundation, Meharry was able to receive funds to purchase a mobile unit, vaccination unit, to go out into communities in need and provide them with vaccines that were purchased through a government program. And so we have continued this through a partnership with Walgreens. I serve as a vaccine clinic community liaison for Walgreens at this time. We're going to be vaccinating Meharry's campus on October 9th from 10 o'clock a.m. to 3 p.m. And we want people in the neighborhood, if they need a vaccination, to come and get one. This is for Meharry Medical College. And again, Walgreens will not give you a vaccination unless you have insurance for that vaccination. And so I just want to be clear about that. But in rural communities continue to struggle. We think that mobile units is a part of the answer. We also think that telehealth medicine is also a part of the answer, as well as some of the things that you're seeing being developed with AI. We think that artificial intelligence has a lot to offer to rural communities, particularly wearables. These are medical devices that a person will wear on their body to monitor their health, and that information is reported directly to a database so that a physician can analyze and basically manage a person's health. And so this is something that is very important. We think that vaccines continue to be very important. We have vaccine clinics throughout the state of Tennessee. The Tennessee SEAL program continues to operate. We also have the Cancer Survivor Summit that is coming up in April of 2026. We're very excited to have cancer survivors come on campus, along with physicians that take care of cancer patients as well. We continue to partner with the NFL Alumni Association in many of our events, and we continue to partner with faith-based communities and to deliver our message in terms of health and wellness in the form of chronic disease support and education to improve health literacy among the medically underserved populations in Nashville, Central Tennessee, and throughout the state of Tennessee.
For a small institution, you guys do some marvelous stuff. As we look at the future of vaccines, given the uninformed directives from the Office of Health and Human Services, is that what Mr. Kennedy is the chair of, director of, rather? What do we expect for the future of childhood diseases in the next few years if we continue to talk about them not being of value?
Yeah. So, Dr. Head, the future is uncertain. For the first time in my history, we have an HHS secretary that is not a scientist or a physician. And we think that's unfortunate because having those credentials allow you to have an understanding of the importance of vaccines. Vaccines have been one of the most important public health interventions we have ever known. Vaccines have been proven to be safe and effective. Vaccines have never been touted as being 100% safe and 100% effective. And again, vaccines go through the 3 phases of clinical trials along with pharmacovigilance that follows that vaccine for decades to come to make sure that it's safe and effective in patients that continue to receive that vaccine. What we have now, we have a lot of confusion, Dr. Head. Confusion for parents that need children to go to school and be vaccinated. We have confusion when it comes to pregnant women not knowing where to get a vaccine if they want one, because there's no longer a recommendation for them to have a COVID vaccine. We are concerned that childhood vaccinations that have been mandatory for a very long time has been is going to be changed in ways that will confuse the public. And we think that vaccine preventable diseases that we've dealt with for a long time, like measles, mumps, rubella, and so forth, is going to get out of hand. We may see pockets of outbreaks that will challenge the healthcare industry to control without vaccines. We also see people like the directors in Florida, Surgeon General in Florida, saying that parents now should have the ability maybe to opt out of mandatory childhood vaccines and send their children to school without being vaccinated. And again, this is something that is still under review, but if this happens, there will be a shakeup in terms of immunity to these preventable vaccines in school and in the public, because a child that's unvaccinated acquires an infection at school, can bring that infection back to a person at home that is vulnerable and may cause a life-threatening infection in that individual. And of course, other children at school that can't take a vaccine because they have a condition that makes it difficult for them to mount an immune response, or they might be allergic to a component in the vaccine formulation that requires them not to get the vaccine. Those individuals will be vulnerable as well. We have seen instances of outbreaks of measles and whooping cough during this current administration, and I'm concerned that this is only the beginning.
And as a child of the 50s, 70 years ago, they were giving us shots for polio, because polio at that time was a scourge of the country, and polio almost disappeared almost immediately, and now we find ourselves going back to witchcraft and butchery to defend ourselves. Where is this leading us to? A point where we've got a million people who are going to die like we did with COVID?
Yeah, so I think the information out there is not based on science. I think this is mainly science that's been basically manufactured in some way. And again, when we think about vaccinations, we think about all of the information that put vaccinations under a microscope, so to speak, when we start talking about what COVID did. And of course, vaccines that possibly cause autism. And now we see situations where you have people that are anti-vaxxers or support anti-vaxxers at the highest level of government here. And I think what will happen is that there could be policies put in place that will put the American public at greater risk of diseases that for our time was preventable by vaccinations. And I think what you have is that you have parents, you have grandparents, you have teachers, and you have the public in general completely confused about vaccines and vaccinations at this time. And I think for the future, what I would hope is that we would come to an understanding of what vaccines have done for us in the past. And I think that coming up with ways to question the effectiveness and safety of vaccines may not be the answer. And again, if you want to do this, then you have to have evidence-based, clinical trials to support the notions that you have that these vaccines are not safe. And again, when you look into the literature does not support the current policies that are out there by HHS that try to dissuade us from getting vaccinated at this time.
Well, the arguments made about autism and pain relievers, the autism and vaccines seem to have no end to in the minds of the people who are purporting these things, but they have absolutely no empirical data that supports what they're saying. So
that is correct.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that is correct. And then there's data that refutes the notion that acetaminophen causes autism. First of all, autism is a multifactorial, basically a multifactorial event, and it's usually associated with genetic changes that is handed from mother and father to child. Again, there could be environmental components to the development of autism as well. And it's a spectrum disease. You see people that are fully functional as well as those that are having a hard time with autism. But again, what they didn't see is this study from Sweden, where they looked at a number of pregnant women and their children, those that were particularly on acetaminophen during their pregnancy, and they saw no relationship to autism in that particular study. And it went on for years. And what I don't understand is how the current administration did not seek out that study before they made this particular recommendation. And I thought another thing happened is that the president talked about acetaminophen in ways that was not discussed directly in the FDA report that says that there's no unrefutable evidence that supports the notion that acetaminophen is a cause of autism at this time. But the president went on to emphatically say to pregnant women, don't take Tylenol. Just don't take it. Whatever you can do, don't take it. And so I think that there was mixed messages during that press conference that should be discussed. But again, there's a very important study that CNN presented in Sweden. And again, this was a recent study looking at acetaminophen and autism, and they did not find evidence to support the notion that there was causation in terms of autism in pregnant women that took acetaminophen during their pregnancy.
The optimum here is that our president nor the Secretary of Health and Human Services have any medical background whatsoever. So
That's
if
correct.
They're making this judgment without consulting research that has been done in the area, they're simply lying to the public.
Well, again, I just want to say that this is a president that won the popular vote. So, again, his words have meaning in terms of what he says. And again, many people will follow his advice when it comes to this. But the maker of Tylenol is concerned about this recommendation. And they're concerned about the evidence that came into play in making this recommendation. And so I think what you will have is the makers of Tylenol is going to rebut this particular recommendation because they're saying that they have conducted clinical trials and found no support for this particular recommendation. And then there's a study that finds no support for this recommendation as well. And so it is very clear that pregnant women should not take medications during their pregnancy. But if they have a fever that can be very complicated, the number one pain reliever that most doctors recommend for pregnant women to take is Tylenol. And the idea is that you want to take the lowest dose for the shortest amount of time. But this is the go-to pain reliever for pregnant women by doctors, and that is Tylenol. And so when the president says don't take Tylenol, it says a lot. And it says a lot about the product and the company that makes Tylenol. And of course, the studies do not support the role that Tylenol has, or a role that Tylenol has in the development of autism.
And the extraordinary thing is, you take it that because he is the president, he knows best for the country. And in this situation, I don't think so. But again, we will have to wait and see, because it's already been said.
Yeah, and I think when you're getting advice, you want to get advice from people that are qualified to give your advice, and people that will be objective in delivering that advice to you. You see what I'm saying? Meaning that they can give you that advice and feel no repercussions from providing advice that might go against a policy.
Well, I think the shareholders in the company that makes Tylenol are going to raise a loud noise about the announcement of don't take Tylenol, and we will see. I think it will come down to economics as usual. Why are you picking and ruining the sales of what is purported to be the least harmful to a pregnant woman during pregnancy?
We've seen advice during COVID that you should consider bleach coming from the president. And the idea is that there's anecdotal evidence out there that some people tried that.
Yeah, I remember. Can't you simply inoculate folks with hand sanitizer and kill it?
Yeah.
And kill them.
Yeah, and so, and again, people tend to believe their president.
Oh my goodness! Oh my. When I worked out in Arkansas and back in the early 2000s, Governor Huckabee was the father of the current Huckabee, who is the governor of Arkansas, was concerned about the rural public's ability to get health care. And he did a yeoman's job in creating better opportunities for those individuals to receive basically first aid and enough to get them to the closest hospital. So now we are undoing all of that in the process of closing hospitals, taking away the opportunity to utilize government health insurance, forcing us to go and buy health insurance that very few of us can afford, while we are paying for health care for everybody in the Congress. All of the House of Representatives and all in the Senate receive free health care for their themselves and their families. And who pays for it? The general public. While our health care is being taken away, we are paying for the health care of those in power.
Yeah. So I want to say in rural communities, you really have a Medicare quagmire happening in rural communities, meaning that you're looking at a situation where Medicare reimbursements are going to be lower in rural communities. You're looking at a shrinking hospital staff, fewer residents, fewer physicians, fewer specialists, and so forth. And you're looking at larger patient loads in these rural communities. And I think when you put that all together, rural communities have to do something just in order to survive. And I think, depending on Medicare reimbursement, because you have people that are uninsured or underinsured in rural communities, become a problem that you can't get away from. And so they're left with no other choice but to close these hospitals and to try and create opportunities for these folks to get to other urban hospitals. However, the barriers there are significant. But I think what is happening with rural communities is the ability to provide physician assistant mobile services to those rural communities. That is, bring the physician to the community in a mobile unit, have nurse practitioners there, have fundamental services there. We saw during COVID, many people that got COVID needed to be in ICU and be in mechanical ventilation and so forth. You just didn't have that in rural communities. And for some, because time was life in those days, people couldn't even get to the hospital on time to survive. We still have that today in rural communities. If you are injured on the highway and need to get to the hospital, and an evac system is not in place in rural communities, then you simply have to drive with that person. And if that person has an emergency need, they can possibly pass away on the way to the hospital. And so rural communities are in a difficult place right now, and it's only going to take policy and committed dollars over time to rectify what is developing now in rural communities. And the outlook here is going to have to be ways to basically bridge the gaps in healthcare that rural communities have been developing. And it's through mobile clinics, telehealth, telemedicine services, and of course, these wearables where they can wear these medical devices and you can actually get data through the internet. And I should also say that rural communities have been hurting for a long time because of poor access to broadband services and the internet. And so that has also challenged them in terms of improving health literacy in rural communities as well.
Health literacy, health care, health awareness. It is terrible what small rural communities are going to face if all of this comes to fruition.
That's correct. Yes.
Doc, you got one thing you'd like to say? Say it now.
I'd like to say that people should continue to believe in vaccines. And we can go back for the longest time. Vaccines allowed us to survive 30 years longer than we did 100 years ago because we're not dying of polio anymore. We're not dying of smallpox. We're not dying of things like COVID anymore because at the height of COVID, we were dying at nearly 5,000 people every day in the United States. Can you remember a time when in 10 days, 50,000 people in the United States were dead of an infectious disease? Then we have to go back to 1918, 1919 for that. So I think that parents that are out there have to consider vaccinating their children. And I want parents to know that, have you ever found that when your child got a vaccination from the pediatrician or a vaccine clinic, did they come to you later on and say that, Mom, I had an adverse event to getting this vaccine? And they have not. Vaccines have been safe and effective for a very long time. And I think that we can't turn our back on what vaccines have proven in the past. And I think I'm concerned about what will happen to vaccinations in the future under the current administration, because mandatory childhood vaccinations have kept vaccine preventable diseases at bay for a very long time. The United States established a measles elimination status in 2020. We may be on the verge of losing our measles elimination status because of outbreak infections of measles out in the public because of people not wanting to vaccinate. We are now seeing a significant increase in people that are basically deciding not to vaccinate, giving reasons why they don't want to vaccinate. And it's very simple to say that you don't want to vaccinate and get approval of that. And so I'm just thinking that healthcare in general is at a crossroads in the United States at this time. And I think that what we have to do is we have to believe in the science. We have to let the science guide us through this difficult time. And simply, we cannot fall prey to misinformation and disinformation, even at the highest level of government.
Thank you. Doc, I'm always blown away by your knowledge of, excuse me, knowledge of the situation and your willingness to share with other people. We will say,
thank you for having me.
This is the end of this interview, but you will be back with us shortly.
I will.
Because we need to keep this in front of the people and create a hotline for information about healthcare and where this thing is taking people.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Doc.
Thanks for having me.
Very
Take care.
welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, did you get to watch Jimmy Kimmel's return to late night TV on the local ABC affiliate? I will answer that for you. No. Oh, you didn't? Why? Why? Because someone else decided you didn't need to see it. Namely, the network, the local, not the network, but the local affiliate decided that you didn't need to see it. That's called censorship. Why is that important in this community? In a city in a city like Nashville, it is of the utmost importance. Nashville's greatest industry is publishing and printing. So when you write a song, you can get it published if the publisher says it is worthy. But when the government, when the government intervenes and says, this is what we want on the air, this is not the kind of music we want, the interference, you find yourself a victim of the violation of your First Amendment rights to free speech and expression. Expression being expression in art, expression in music, expression in how you dress, it tends to tell you what to listen to. It doesn't tell you what you might want to listen to. It tells you what you can listen to. When you can't listen to what you want to, that's censorship. People come to Nashville because of the opportunities to speak their piece through music, dance, whatever. whether anyone agrees with it or not, you have the right to speak. There is no reason for the state of Tennessee to have a prohibition on shows with men dressed as women. There's no reason for the state of Tennessee having a threatened law to cut out what you can watch on the internet, specifically strong sexual images. The opportunity when it is fenced off from you is censorship, no matter what form it takes. Well, we won't have any art exhibitions that feature this. Well, why? Why can't I see what I want to see? So I now become a puppet. I don't get to do what I want to do. I get to do what I'm told to do. And that is censorship. In this community, that is very dangerous. All of you folks who come to Nashville, write songs, record them, whatever. Even though I may not like what you say or how it sounds, you have the right to do it. I may criticize what you do, but I'm not going to campaign to get you silenced. That's what's happening right now. Every time you see the president threatening to sue a network, you say, well, there may be reason. No, it's intimidation. So any of them think about doing something that he does not care for is now officially intimidated. And I've never seen people with resource so much intimidated. It is amazing that these folks have everything under the sun, everything but any guts, have no strength of character. It's all about a buck. That's the reason Jimmy Kimmel was back on, because the people associated with ABC found out that putting him off the air cost them billions of dollars. No other reason. So think about it, my friends. Is that what you're looking for? You have been watching Let's Talk About It on NorthNashvilleTV.com, the voice of the voiceless. Peace.